If you love EDM music and really want to start producing, but you want to get better at creating melodies, and you want to produce melody lines that are more interesting, sound catchy to the ear, and sound better overall, in this video, I'll be showing you tricks and tips that I've learned over the past 10 years as a producer, so stick around. To start off, I do want to mention that this video is going to be a part of a 5-video series on how to make an EDM track, including the melody, chords, bassline, drums, the intro, etc. This video, however, will be focused on how to make the main melody itself, or let's say the lead, in the case of EDM. So let's get started. I'm just going to set the BPM to 128, because I think that's a good base for EDM. Now I'm going to select a preset that I like here, and I'm going to be using Serum for this particular one, since I feel that it's good for EDM. But you can literally use any plugin and any preset. But before we start with the melody, what we want to do is to put down our basic chords so that when we're creating the melody, we know that it fits and it's in synchronicity with the chords themselves. This will also help us not have any off-key or dissonant sounding notes in the main melody, and will make the melody creation process a lot easier, especially if you don't have a super deep background in music theory. So I think a good way to figure out what chords you want to have for the melody is by putting down one basic note of the chords down. And I will later show you how you can easily turn that into a complete chord. And I'm just going to put down 4 basic notes that I think will sound okay, and we can later base our whole melody off of that. So just playing around with the notes here, I think I want to start this with a B note. This sounds okay to me, so I'm just going to put these 4 notes down. So start off with a B, then a D, then F sharp, and then E. But even if you don't know the names of the notes, it's fine. So if you're not familiar with music theory, don't worry. Here's an easier way to play the chords for the melody even if you never studied or music theory doesn't interest you. If we click on the top left here in this panel, then choose Stem, we can choose any of these already drawn up chords, and we can just put them down without having to worry if all these notes are within that scale, and in fact they do belong to that chord. And I think for this song and melody, we're going to have the chords extended a bit longer, to 2 bars. So I think I want to start this with a minor chord. So I'm going to select minor here in the stem panel, and I'm going to click on the B note, and it will just draw the chord for me. Next, I think I want to put down a major chord. So let's see, we've already put down a B minor chord, and I think I want to put down a D major chord next. But I think I want to have this one a bit different, so I'm going to select major 7th next and click on the D note. These 7 type chords can give it just a little bit of extra spark and can make it just a little bit more interesting and unusual. Many big names like Calvin Harris, Avicii, and more use these quite often. For the next 2 chords, I think I want to have a minor and then a major chord. And I'll just put them down. So we have our 4 chords, and now we want to copy and basically extend these chords all the way down, like this. So let's see what our chords sound like. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with how our chords sound. So now we're going to start creating the melody itself. And for people that are not that familiar with music theory, the way these basic chords are going to help us with coming up with the main melody is by knowing which of these notes belong to that chord, and that way we can draw the notes for the melody a lot easier. So next we want to go in the panel again, on the top left, select Helpers, and then Enable Ghost Channels. And we also want to uncheck Editable Ghost if that mark is checked for you by default. And as you can see, now we can see the notes from the chords that we've put down in the background now. So I'm going to start playing around with the notes and see what sounds good to my ears. And the base of the notes that we're going to draw will be on the notes of the background chords that we've put previously. The main point of the melody is that we want to make it sound catchy to the ear and interesting. So to do that, we can try arranging the notes down in a rhythm pattern and see how that sounds. So I like these notes, and I'm going to put these notes down. Yeah, I think this sounds cool. So now I feel like the base of our melody is fine, but it's missing a bit of a spark and playfulness. So now we can just play around slightly and make small alterations and make it a little bit more interesting. So even though these last few notes that we've put do not belong in our chords, they're not necessarily wrong. Sometimes if they're put in the end like this, they can serve as connectors and make the melody a little bit more flashy. I like this. Now we can do something interesting with the other parts. Maybe something like this here. And on the third part, we can draw something even more flashy and crazy and see if it works. I think this works. Something like this for the last part. Now let's see how our whole melody sounds. I think I'm pretty happy with how the melody sounds right now, and this is just for the arrangement side of things. We can still polish this with some mixing, EQ and such. And if you want to give it a little bit of a mixdown, we can just add some basic effects and plugins like an EQ, compression, sidechain, or saturation. This can be done later in the track when we have more elements, but sometimes I like mixing it a little even before, just to see how it sounds. For EQ, we can just remove the low end to around 150 Hz, like we talked about in previous videos, since this is mainly bass territory. Add any compressor, and I'll just select this and this compressor that I have here, just to compress it and tighten it up a little bit. We can add a little bit of sidechain to just give it some flair and character. And this will be even more prominent later when we have more elements in the track. And And we can even add a little saturation to give it that extra dirt. But you can do all these things according to your own taste and whatever sounds good to you. So that's it for this video. For next video in this series, I'm going to be showing you how to produce better chords, and we're going to continue producing this track. So please let me know what you've thought of this video. If you enjoyed it, please like it, share it with your friends, and click the bell and subscribe if you want to see the rest of the series on how to produce EDM. And as always, thanks for watching.